Ladies and gentlemen, imagine holding on to something so tightly that your hands begin to ache, your fingers cramping from the strain. You refuse to let go because it feels familiar, safe, even if it's causing you pain. Now imagine that someone wiser than you, someone who sees the bigger picture, gently pries your fingers open, removes what you're clinging to, and replaces it with something infinitely better. At first you resist, you don't understand, you question why, but later, when you finally see what has taken its place, you realize that letting go was the best thing that ever happened. Life is filled with moments of loss, moments when people we love walk away, when relationships that once felt unshakable suddenly crumble, when friends turn into strangers, and when those we counted on vanish without explanation. The pain of these moments can be overwhelming, making us question everything, our worth, our choices, even our faith in the future. But what if I told you that every person who leaves, every door that closes, every painful goodbye is not a mistake? Not a cruel accident, but a necessary part of a much greater plan. You see, we often mistake attachment for destiny. We assume that the people in our lives today are meant to stay forever, but that is not how life works. Some people are only meant to be with us for a season. Some are there to teach us lessons, to challenge us, to guide us through a particular chapter. But when their role is complete, they must leave. Holding on too long only delays our growth, blinds us to new opportunities, and keeps us tethered to something that no longer serves us. Think back to a time when you lost someone, maybe a friend, a mentor, a partner. At that moment, the pain felt unbearable. You couldn't understand why it happened, but now, looking back, can you see the purpose in their absence? Can you recognize the ways in which their departure forced you to grow, to seek new paths, to find strength within yourself? Sometimes you didn't know not a punishment, it's protection. That friend who betrayed you, that person who walked away without explanation, that mentor who turned their back on you, it hurt, yes, but what if they were removed because they were holding you back? What if their influence, their presence, their energy was keeping you from becoming the person you were meant to be? We resist change because it disrupts our sense of security. We crave stability, and when people leave, it feels like the ground beneath us is shaking. But what if that shaking is not destruction, it's transformation? What if the very thing that feels like your greatest loss is actually setting the stage for your greatest breakthrough? There are moments in life when the only way to move forward is to let go. Let go of the resentment toward those who left. Let go of the illusion that your life was supposed to unfold a certain way. Let go of the fear that you are alone, that you are unworthy, that you are broken beyond repair. Trust the process. Trust that every removal is making space for something better. Some people are removed because they are distractions. They drain your energy, distort your vision, and keep you entangled in cycles that prevent you from moving forward. Others are removed because their time in your life has simply expired. Their role was to help you for a season, but they cannot walk with you into the next chapter. The problem is, we want to understand everything in the moment. We demand explanations, we want closure, we want a clear reason why someone left, but sometimes understanding comes later. Sometimes the lesson is revealed only after time has passed, after the emotions have settled, after we've gained enough freedom to see what we couldn't see before. Freedom in realizing that you don't have to figure it all out right now. Freedom in accepting that even though you don't understand today, one day you will. One day you will look back and see that every removal had a purpose. Every painful goodbye was leading you somewhere. Every loss was making room for something greater. But to reach that moment, you have to let go. You have to stop chasing people who have already exited your life. Stop mourning what was and start embracing what is. Stop questioning your worth based on who stays and who leaves. People's choices do not define you. Their absence does not diminish your value. What is meant for you will never require you to beg, to chase, to lose yourself in the process of holding on. If someone is removed from your life, trust that it was necessary. Trust that whatever or whoever is coming next will align with your growth, your purpose, your future. This is where faith comes in. Faith in the unseen, faith in the process, faith that what feels like an ending is actually a beginning. It takes courage to walk forward without looking back. It takes strength to release the past and step into the unknown, but that is where true transformation happens. Think of the people in your life who are still present, the ones who stand by you, who support you, who bring you peace instead of pain. Cherish them. Pour into those relationships. but do not chase those who have chosen to walk away. If they were meant to stay, they would still be here. Growth requires change, and change requires loss. But loss is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of something new, something greater, something that will make sense in ways you cannot yet see. So instead of resisting, instead of clinging, instead of questioning, trust. Trust that you are being led exactly where you need to be. Trust that every person who leaves is making space for something better. And trust that when you finally see the full picture, you will be grateful for every single removal. Separation is often preparation. It may not feel like it in the moment, but when someone is removed from your life, there is a reason behind it. That reason may not be immediately clear, and the pain may cloud your ability to see it, but there is a purpose. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in discomfort, in challenge, in the moments when life forces you to change. The loss of certain people is not meant to break you. It is meant to build you. It is meant to prepare you for something ahead. Your life, it is easy to take it personally. You wonder what you did wrong, whether you could have done something differently, whether you should have held on a little longer. You replay conversations, analyze their actions, try to find meaning in their departure. But sometimes the meaning is not in what they did or what you did, it is in what comes next. The absence of certain people creates space for new growth, new opportunities, and a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it grows, it must be buried in darkness, surrounded by dirt, completely separated from the world it once knew. In that isolation, something happens. The seed begins to break open. The process looks destructive, even painful, but it is necessary. Without that breaking, without that separation from its original form, it would never grow. It is the same with people. When you are being prepared for something greater, there will be moments of isolation. Moments when people you once depended on are no longer there. Moments when you feel buried under the weight of loss. But in that space, in that separation, transformation is happening. There are relationships that feel safe, familiar, comfortable. They may not be healthy, they may not be leading you toward your purpose, but they feel secure. And because they feel secure, you stay. You convince yourself that you need those people, that life without them would be unbearable. But what if they are keeping you small? What if their presence is limiting your growth? What if they are preventing you from stepping into something greater? You will not leave on your own because the comfort is too strong, so the situation is taken out of your hands. They are removed, not because of cruelty, not because you are being punished, but because you are being prepared for something beyond what you can see. It is easy to think that separation means something is wrong, that you were abandoned, that you were forgotten, that you were not enough. But what if it means the opposite? What if it means you are meant for more? What if their departure is not a sign of your inadequacy, but a sign of your potential? When something greater is being built, some things must be cleared away. When a structure is remodeled, walls must be torn down. When a new path is made, obstacles must be removed. The process is not always gentle. Sometimes it is painful. Sometimes it is unexpected. Sometimes it shakes your entire sense of stability. But it is necessary. People often say they want change, they want growth, they want a better future. But when change actually begins to happen, when the preparation process starts, when people begin to lead, fear sets in. Because real change is uncomfortable. Real growth requires loss. But you cannot hold on to the old while stepping into the new. You cannot receive what is coming if your hands are full of what is already past. You must be willing to trust the process, to accept that separation is not rejection, it is preparation. Think back to times in your life when you lost someone and thought you would never recover. A friend who walked away, a relationship that ended, a mentor who moved on. At the time, it felt like devastation. But now, looking back, can you see how that loss shaped you? Can you see how it forced you to grow, to change, to become stronger? You may not have understood it then, but you understand it now. And in the same way, the losses you are experiencing today will make sense in the future. You may not see it yet, but you will. Growth is not comfortable. It is not gentle. It is not predictable. It requires faith, resilience, and the willingness to let go of what is no longer meant for you. The removal of certain people is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of something greater. Trust that. Not everyone is meant to stay. People come into your life for different reasons, and not all of them are meant to walk with you forever. Some are there to teach you something, to help you through a specific season, to challenge you in ways that force you to grow. But when their role in your journey is complete, they leave. The mistake many people make is trying to hold on to relationships that have already reached their expiration date. They cling to friendships, partnerships, and connections out of fear of loneliness, fear of change, fear of losing what feels familiar. But forcing people to stay when they are meant to leave only leads to pain, stagnation, and unnecessary suffering. It is natural to feel attached to those who have been a part of your life. You invest time, emotions, and energy into them. You create memories, share experiences, and build connections that feel irreplaceable. So when someone starts to drift away, when the relationship begins to shift, it is easy to panic. You question what went wrong. You replay conversations, searching for clues. You may even try to fix things, to bring them back, to force the relationship back to what it used to be. But sometimes, the relationship is not meant to be fixed. It is meant to end. And instead of fighting against it, you must learn to accept it. When someone leaves, it is tempting to take it personally. You wonder if you were not good enough, if you made mistakes that pushed them away, if you could have done something to make them stay. But people leave for reasons that have nothing to do with your worth. They leave because their role in your story is complete. They leave because they have their own path to walk. They leave because keeping them in your life would hinder your growth. Some people are only meant to be with you for a season, and when that season is over, holding on to them does not bring comfort, it brings resistance. Think about the changing of the seasons. In the summer, trees are full, vibrant, and covered in green leaves. But when autumn comes, the leaves begin to fall. If the tree resisted, if it clung to every single leaf and refused to let go, it would not survive the winter. It would be carrying too much weight, too much unnecessary baggage. But by releasing what is no longer needed, it creates space for new growth in the spring. Life works the same way. If you hold on to people who are meant to go, you weigh yourself down. You keep yourself tied to something that no longer serves you. You prevent yourself from growing into who you are meant to be. There are relationships that start strong, filled with passion, excitement, and deep connection. You believe they will last forever, but over time you begin to see cracks. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel forced. The connection that once felt unbreakable begins to fade. You feel it happening, but you ignore it. You tell yourself it is just a phase, that if you try harder, if you give more, you can make things go back to the way they were. But some relationships are not meant to last forever, and no amount of effort can force something that is no longer aligned with your journey. Letting go is not a sign of failure. It does not mean you did something wrong. It means you are growing. And sometimes, growth requires separation. It is painful, but it is necessary. The person who was perfect for you in one season may not be the person you need in the next. The friend who supported you at one stage of life may not understand the path you are now walking. The mentor who once guided you may no longer have the wisdom you need for your next step. Holding on out of fear will only slow you down. When people leave, it is because they were not meant to stay. Their part in your life is finished, and instead of mourning their departure, you must trust that their exit is making room for something better. Some people will drift away quietly, others will leave suddenly in ways that feel painful and unexpected. Either way, their departure is part of the plan. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and see that every person who left created space for something greater. Instead of resisting, embrace it. Instead of questioning, trust it. Instead of clinging, release it. The people who are meant to stay in your life will stay. The ones who are meant to leave will leave. And no matter how painful it feels in the moment, their absence is guiding you toward your true path. Some people are removed because they are distractions. Not every person who enters your life is meant to help you grow, and not every connection is beneficial to your purpose. Some relationships pull you away from where you need to be. They consume your energy, fill your mind with doubt, and keep you entangled in situations that are not meant for you. These people do not always appear harmful at first. In fact, many distractions come disguised as comfort, excitement, or companionship, but over time their presence drains you. They divert your focus, lead you into cycles of negativity, and make it harder for you to move forward. Distractions come in many forms. Some are people who constantly bring drama and conflict, keeping your mind occupied with unnecessary problems. Others are those who encourage complacency, keeping you stuck in habits and patterns that prevent growth. Then there are those who seem supportive on the surface but subtly plant seeds of doubt, discouraging you from pursuing your goals. These people may not intend to hold you back, but their presence in your life does exactly that. They keep you distracted from what truly matters. When a person like this is removed from your life, it may not make sense at first. You may feel anger, confusion, or even a sense of loss. You may try to bring them back, believing that their absence is a mistake, but in time you will see that their departure was necessary. It is difficult to recognize a distraction when you are in the middle of it. You may not realize how much time, energy, and emotional effort you are wasting until they are gone. Only then do you see how much lighter you feel, how much clearer your mind becomes, how much more focused you are on the things that truly matter. Some people create distractions because they themselves are lost. They do not have direction, so they keep others wandering aimlessly alongside them. They do not have a strong sense of purpose, so they discourage others from finding theirs. They waste time and energy, so they pull others into the same cycle. It is not always intentional, but the effect is the same. If you surround yourself with people who lack purpose, you will struggle to find your own. If you allow yourself to be pulled into meaningless distractions, you will lose sight of your true path. One of the most difficult things to accept is that some relationships do more harm than good. You may care about someone deeply, but if their presence in your life is leading you away from where you need to be, they cannot stay. You may have shared incredible moments with them, but if their influence is keeping you from growing, their chapter in your story must come to an end. This is not a sign of disloyalty or coldness. It is a recognition of what is necessary for your growth. Think of your life as a journey up a mountain. At the base, the climb is easy and many people can walk alongside you. But as the path becomes steeper, as the air grows thinner, not everyone will be able to continue. Some will slow you down, unable to keep pace. Some will resist the climb, pulling you backward. Others will try to distract you, pointing out easier paths that lead nowhere. If you try to carry everyone with you, you will exhaust yourself. If you let yourself be distracted, you will never reach the top. To move forward, you must be willing to let go of those who cannot climb with you. When distractions are removed, clarity follows. You may not see it immediately, but as time passes, you will realize how much their presence was holding you back. You will notice how much energy you now have to focus on your goals. You will feel a sense of peace that was missing when they were around. What once felt like loss will begin to feel like freedom. Not everyone who walks into your life is meant to stay. Some are simply detours pulling you away from where you need to be. When these people are removed, do not fight to bring them back. Do not chase what is already gone. Trust that their exit is an act of protection. Trust that without their distractions, you will finally be able to see the path ahead. Some people are removed because they have already served their purpose in your life. Every person you meet has a role to play in your journey, but not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some are there to teach you a lesson, to help you grow, to challenge your perspective, or to guide you through a particular season. Their presence may have been exactly what you needed at that time, but when their purpose in your story is complete, they move on. Holding on to people who have already fulfilled their role only creates unnecessary pain. It is difficult to accept that some relationships are temporary. When someone has been an important part of your life, when you have shared deep conversations, powerful moments, or significant experiences, it is natural to want them to stay. But just because someone was valuable in one chapter does not mean they are meant to be in the next. Life is a series of transitions, and each phase brings new people, new lessons, and new opportunities. If you refuse to let go of those who have already served their purpose, you will struggle to step into the next stage of your growth. People enter your life for different reasons. Some are there to challenge you, to push you out of your comfort zone, to help you see things differently. Others come to support you, to lift you up when you are struggling, to give you strength when you feel weak. Some teach you painful lessons about trust, about boundaries, about self-respect. And then there are those who enter your life simply to remind you of who you are, to inspire you, to bring joy in moments when you need it most. Every person serves a purpose, but not every person is meant to stay permanently. When people leave, it is often because their work in your life is done. You may not understand it in the moment. You may feel confused, abandoned, or even betrayed. You may ask why someone who once meant so much to you could suddenly become distant or disappear. But with time, you will look back and realize that their presence was exactly what you needed for that season. Maybe they gave you the confidence to take a risk. Maybe they taught you a lesson that changed the way you see the world. Maybe they showed you something about yourself that you never would have seen otherwise. And once their purpose was fulfilled, life moved them in a different direction. If you try to hold on to people who have already completed their role, you will only cause yourself pain. You will spend your energy trying to revive a connection that is meant to fade. You will cling to something that no longer fits, something that no longer aligns with where you are going. Instead of focusing on the future, you will keep looking back, wondering why things changed, why they left, why you cannot return to how things used to be. But growth requires movement, and movement means letting go of what no longer belongs in your path. Some of the most painful goodbyes are the ones that make the most sense later. There are people you will miss, people you will wish had stayed longer, people whose absence will leave an emptiness you do not know how to fill. But one day you will see the purpose behind their presence. You will understand why they were there and why they had to leave. You will realize that if they had stayed, you would not have become who you are meant to be. Their departure was not a loss, it was a transition. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that is not a bad thing. Some people are temporary gifts sent to guide you, teach you, or strengthen you for the journey ahead. Instead of mourning their absence, be grateful for what they brought into your life. Instead of resenting their departure, trust that their exit is part of the plan. The people who are meant to stay will stay. The ones who are meant to leave will leave. And each person, whether they are with you for a moment or for a lifetime, has played a role in shaping who you are becoming. Some people are removed because they have already served their purpose in your life. Every person you meet has a role to play in your journey, but not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some are there to teach you a lesson, to help you grow, to challenge your perspective, or to guide you through a particular season. Their presence may have been exactly what you needed at that time, but when their purpose in your story is complete, they move on. Holding on to people who have already fulfilled their role only creates difficult to accept that some relationships are temporary. When someone has been an important part of your life, when you have shared deep conversations, powerful moments, or significant experiences, it is natural to want them to stay. But just because someone was valuable in one chapter does not mean they are meant to be in the next. Life is a series of transitions, and each phase brings new people, new lessons, and new opportunities. If you refuse to let go of those who have already served their purpose, you will struggle to step into the next stage of your growth. People enter your life for different reasons. Some are there to challenge you, to push you out of your comfort zone, to help you see things differently. Others come to support you, to lift you up when you are struggling, to give you strength when you feel weak. Some teach you painful lessons, lessons about trust, about boundaries, about self-respect. And then there are those who enter your life simply to remind you of who you are, to inspire you, to bring joy in moments when you need it most. Every person serves a purpose, but not every person is meant to stay permanently. When people leave, it is often because their work in your life is done. You may not understand it in the moment. You may feel confused, abandoned, or even betrayed. You may ask why someone who once meant so much to you could suddenly become distant or disappear. But with time, you will look back and realize that their presence was exactly what you needed for that season. Maybe they gave you the confidence to take a risk. Maybe they taught you a lesson that changed the way you see the world. Maybe they showed you something about yourself that you never would have seen otherwise. And once their purpose was fulfilled, life moved them in a different direction. If you try to hold on to people who have already completed their role, you will only cause yourself pain. You will spend your energy trying to revive a connection that is meant to fade. You will cling to something that no longer fits, something that no longer aligns with where you are going. Instead of focusing on the future, you will keep looking back, wondering why things changed, why they left, why you cannot return to how things used to be. But growth requires movement, and movement means letting go of what no longer belongs in your path. Some of the most painful goodbyes are the ones that make the most sense later. There are people you will miss, people you will wish had stayed longer, people whose absence will leave an emptiness you do not know how to fill. But one day you will see the purpose behind their presence. You will understand why they were there and why they had to leave. You will realize that if they had stayed, you would not have become who you are meant to be. Their departure was not a loss, it was a transition. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that is not a bad thing. Some people are temporary gifts sent to guide you, teach you, or strengthen you for the journey ahead. Instead of mourning their absence, be grateful for what they brought into your life. Instead of resenting their departure, trust that their exit is part of the plan. The people who are meant to stay will stay. The ones who are meant to leave will leave. And each person, whether they are with you for a moment or for a lifetime, has played a role in shaping who you are becoming. It is easy to become attached to those who have been in your life for a long time, even when those relationships no longer serve you. You may have built strong memories with them, shared deep conversations, and relied on their presence for comfort and stability, but just because someone has been part of your past does not mean they are meant to be part of your future. Some relationships take up space that is meant for something better, and until they are removed, you will not have the opportunity to experience the right connections. It is human nature that are waiting for you, especially when it comes to relationships. You may feel loyal to people who have been in your life for years. Even when the connection has become strained, you may feel obligated to maintain friendships or relationships out of guilt, fear, or routine. But holding on to the wrong people prevents the right ones from entering your life. It is like keeping a closet full of old clothes that no longer fit. You do not realize how much space they take up until you finally let them go. Only then do you have room for something new, something better suited for who you are becoming. The wrong relationships can block you from the right ones. If you are constantly surrounded by people who drain you, discourage you, or fail to appreciate your value, you may never have the energy or mindset to attract better connections. You may settle for relationships that feel familiar instead of seeking those that truly align with your growth. You may keep people in your life simply because they have always been there, not because they contribute anything meaningful to your journey. But when the wrong people leave, when toxic or stagnant relationships are removed, you suddenly find yourself open to new possibilities. You start to attract people who inspire you, who uplift you, who challenge you in the best way. You discover connections that bring joy, purpose, and strength instead of conflict, doubt, and exhaustion. It is painful when people leave, especially when you do not understand why. You may question why a certain friendship ended, why someone distanced themselves, why a relationship that once felt strong suddenly faded. But what seems like loss is often preparation. When someone exits your life, it creates space for someone new. And that new connection may be exactly what you need to move forward. It may be a friend who truly understands and supports you, a mentor who pushes you to grow, a partner who shares your values and vision. These people could not enter your life before because the space was occupied by the wrong ones. Letting go does not mean forgetting the past or disregarding the impact someone had on your life. It simply means recognizing that their chapter has ended and that keeping them around would only hold you back. It means trusting that better relationships are on the horizon, even if you cannot see them yet. It means believing that if someone is removed, it is not because you are losing something, but because you are making room for something greater. The right relationships will not require you to shrink yourself. They will not drain your energy, make you question your worth, or keep you trapped in the past. They will align with your values, support your growth, and bring a sense of peace instead of confusion. But you will never find these relationships if you are too afraid to let go of the wrong ones. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is release what is familiar, but that release is necessary to step into something better. One day you will look back and realize why certain people had to leave. You will see how their absence made room for something greater, how their departure allowed you to find deeper, more meaningful connections. What once felt like heartbreak will begin to feel like transformation. And as you move forward, you will understand that some relationships end not because you lost something, but because you were being prepared for something far more fulfilling. Life is a journey of change, growth, and transformation, and the people who walk with you along the way are not always meant to stay forever. Some are removed because they were harming you, some because they were limiting your potential, and others because they had already served their purpose. At times, their absence may feel painful, confusing, or even unfair, but in time, you will come to understand that every removal was part of a greater plan. The people who leave are not a loss, but a lesson, not a punishment, but a preparation. Their departure makes room for better relationships, stronger connections, and new opportunities that align with your future. Trust that when someone exits your life, it is not a mistake. The right people will always find a way to stay, and those who leave were never meant to be part of your next chapter. Letting go does not mean forgetting or devaluing what once was. It means embracing what is meant to come. With each goodbye, you are being guided towards something greater. Trust the process, trust the timing, and most importantly, trust that every removal is leading you exactly where you are meant to be. Good luck on your journey, and may you always have the wisdom to release what no longer serves you and the courage to embrace what is ahead. Thank you for listening, and may you walk forward with faith, strength, and an open heart.